Okay, so let's talk about something that affects, well, almost everyone expecting a baby, that due date, the one circled on the calendar. Here's a thought. It's almost certainly not when your little one will actually arrive. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the surprisingly flexible reality of due dates. Why is that date often just an estimate, and what really decides when the baby makes their entrance?
It's so true. We have this cultural fixation on the due date, but honestly, it's a bit of a myth.
A myth, really.
Yeah, think about it. Only about 4, maybe 5% of babies are actually born on that exact predicted day.
Wow, under 4 or 5%, that low.
That low. The vast majority, they arrive sometime within a pretty generous 5-week window.
5 weeks?
Yep. Could be 3 weeks before, could be 2 weeks after. It really challenges that idea of a strict deadline.
It absolutely does. So if most babies just ignore that date, what's wrong with how we're calculating it? Is it just hard to predict, or is there like a fundamental issue with the methods?
Well, it's kind of both. A big part of the limitation is in the methods themselves, especially the traditional ones.
Okay.
Historically, we often use the last menstrual period method, LMP.
Right, I've heard about one.
It relies on something called Natal's rule. It's basically a calculation. You add 280 days, so 40 weeks, to the first day of your last period. But
that assumes a regular 28-day cycle, doesn't it? Which feels like a pretty big assumption.
exactly, that's the first problem. Only about, 16% of women actually have that perfect 28-day cycle?
16%.
And then there's the recall issue. Surprisingly, maybe half of women can't accurately remember their LMP date anyway.
Huh. So the starting data itself is often a bit fuzzy.
It can be, yeah.
Huh.
And when your foundation is shaky, the prediction will be too. It's the LMP method. It can really overestimate how long the pregnancy is. Sometimes babies get labeled overdue when they're, well, maybe not.
Okay, so if that traditional way isn't super reliable, what's the gold standard now? What do doctors prefer?
That would definitely be ultrasound dating.
Ultrasound, right.
This way, you're directly measuring the developing baby. And the most accurate time for this is in the first trimester.
Early on is key.
Absolutely. Especially when they measure the crown rump length, the CRL. Basically, the baby's length head to bottom. If you do that between, say, 6 and 13 weeks, it's incredibly accurate. We're talking predicting the due date within plus or minus just 3 to 7 days.
Wow, 3 to 7 days. That's a much tighter window than 5 weeks.
Huge difference.
Does that amazing accuracy hold up, though, like later in the pregnancy?
Unfortunately, no. That's the catch. The accuracy does decrease as the pregnancy goes on.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're doing an ultrasound in the 3rd trimester, that prediction window, it can widen out to plus or minus 21, maybe even 30 days.
Oh, 21 to 30 days. That's almost back to the month-long window.
Pretty much. It really shows why getting that early ultrasound is so important for accurate dating.
And I imagine it's pretty common for the LMP date and the ultrasound date to just disagree.
Oh, very common. It happens all the time. And studies show the ultrasound date tends to be more accurate in over half of those cases. Medical guidelines even say to use the ultrasound date if there's a significant difference.
Okay, so it's more accurate. But why does getting this date exactly right matter so much beyond just, planning the baby shower or parental leave?
Well, these aren't just numbers on a chart. Inaccurate dating has pretty profound real-world consequences.
Like what?
It can lead to misclassification. About 10% of births might be wrongly labeled as preterm.
So thinking a baby's early when they're actually full term.
Exactly. And maybe 11% get misclassified as post-term or overdue.
And that could lead to intervention.
Precisely. Unnecessary inductions, maybe other medical procedures that weren't strictly needed based on the baby's actual gestation. Not to mention incorrect timing for important prenatal tests and just a lot of added anxiety for parents.
Yeah, I can imagine the stress.
But here's the good news. Using ultrasound dating, it dramatically reduces those post-term misclassifications. It drops from over 10% down to less than 3%.
Okay, that's a massive improvement, a huge relief, I'm sure.
It really is.
So given these better dating methods, what did the stack actually tell us about when babies tend to show up, if it's not the due date?
Right, well, again, only 4 or 5% hit the exact date, but about 60% are born within 1 week of their estimated due date.
60% within a week.
And about 90% arrive within 2 weeks of the date.
90% within 2 weeks. So that 2-week window is a much more realistic zone.
Much more realistic. And here's a slightly surprising stat. As of 2017 data, A full 73% of babies were actually born before their due date.
73% before. Wow. That kind of flips the script on the whole overdue worry.
It really does. And again, this highlights ultrasound strength. It's way better at predicting delivery within that 14-day window, something like 85 to 91% accuracy, compared to the 64% for the old LMP method.
Okay, so wrapping this all up for you listening, what's the bottom line? How should you think about that date on your calendar?
I think the best way is to see your due date as more of a due month, or at least a due window. It's definitely not a strict deadline.
A due window. I like that framing.
Yeah. And remember, the most accurate prediction you'll likely get comes from those early ultrasound measurements, especially ones taken before 14 weeks.
Right. Understanding this hopefully helps set more realistic expectations. It could reduce some anxiety, maybe help you have conversations with your doctor about appropriate care, potentially avoiding interventions you don't truly need.
Exactly. Better information leads to better discussions and hopefully a less stressful experience.
And it does make you pause and think, though. If our whole understanding of due dates is shifting this much, what does that really mean for how we prepare, emotionally, practically, for welcoming a new life? Something to definitely ponder as you look forward to that amazing arrival.